Well, my name is Jack Graves. I live in Springs. You asked what I do. I've been the sports writer for the paper for about 40 years. Before that, I wrote general news and interviewed people every week. And I've written a column for 53 years. It was in March of 2020, that Section 11, the governing body for public high school athletics in Suffolk, said that's it. We're shutting down for 3 weeks, maybe more. And that did make me nervous. The writing was kind of on the wall. And I think I continued to kind of hang on until the summer of 2020. And then I got an email from my boss that would I consider being furloughed. And so I had to say yes, I guess. And so I did. And for 5 months there, from June, the end of June, through November, I was furloughed. Had to get unemployment. I was 80 years old at the time, and my wife said, boy, are they going to be amused to hear you still want to work. But that was the fact, and I went through all the rigmarole with the Labor Department, and initially they were very nice and understanding, and then one day they said, really you should start looking for work. And I thought, well, who am I going to apply to? The People's Daily, or, there's no other place I'd rather work than here. And I've worked here for half a century, more than half a century. But I'd never not worked since I was 16 or something like that. Summer jobs. I didn't work the year round. But I'd always gotten a paycheck. I'd always gotten a weekly paycheck from, since I graduated college. I was just used to it, getting, not much, but something every week. And so that affected me. But the thing that got me through the pandemic, initially the furlough, I should say, was this. You can see a book that the former production manager suggested I do. I had done about 2,500 columns, so surely 1 out of 10 was readable. And so my wife and I sifted through all those columns and came up with about 280, 270 that ended up in this book, which I self-published. I probably never would have, collected these essays and published this book were not for the pandemic. So I have the pandemic to thank for that. And my wife and I will be immortal now, insofar as our immediate family goes, if they read. It was understood that I had to put out some resumes, which I did, and answer if they called. And I was hoping no one would call. But somebody did. A woman who ran a paper in Sayville, I think. She was rather interested. And I had to more or less go along with it. And I said, well, let me think about it. And where would I work? Oh, you'd have to work in Center Moriches. It would have been awful. But in order to continue to get my weekly payments, I had to be tactful. And I ran back to David. They said, as long as your employer, you have 3-week lead time or something like that. If he or she says they'll take you back, then you're in the clear. You can continue to receive unemployment. So I said, well, will you take me back? And he said he would. I think I gave him 6 free columns to begin with because I was so thankful. And I began to work in December again. to work in December of 2020. Well, finally, my wife kicked me out. I mean, I would spread. I was a super spreader. I never thought I could work out of home. I always thought I had to be in the office to work, that inspiration seeped from the wainscoting or from the mold. I don't know which. But yeah, it was, initially I did feel a little at sea. And because I'm so messy, she more or less said, well, you really better go back to the office. So I've been here, aside from production and aside from Russell Bennett and Jane Bimson, who are downstairs, and Robin, the bookkeeper, and the ad man. I've spent more time here, I think, in the last year here than the other people on the staff. And in a way, it is true. I do feel like I come here, I'm working, you know, rather than home when you, no, I think I'll have a snack or something like that, you know. Well, I'm wondering when everyone will come back, and not that it was a rip-roaring newsroom like in the old days when, you know, reporters had whiskey bottles on their desks and everything, and people were yelling and screaming, get me rewrite, and all of that. Never was that way here. But it was still nice to be amongst, to have other human beings to relate to. I am wondering, will we ever be, you know, together again? Constraint. We've all been constrained, limited, and that's what you yearn for, an opening up, a return to life as it used to be, fraternizing, socializing, being with people. You know, that, I think, constraint.